My name is Emily Carter, and I swear I'm not crazy. I know what I heard. I know what I felt. And no matter how many times I replay that night in my mind, I can't unhear it. It was a little after 11:54 p.m., 3 winters ago, when everything in my life shifted. The streets were quiet, blanketed in snow, the kind that looks soft but hides ice beneath it. The night had an unnatural stillness, like the whole town was holding its breath. I was locking the front door when the old black metal mailbox at the end of my driveway began shaking violently, like something inside it was clawing to get out. And then it whispered my middle name, Marie. Just thinking about it makes my chest tighten and my hands tremble. That's where it began, but not where it ended. I grew up in Ridgewood Falls, a quiet, postcard-perfect small town in northern Maine. The kind of place where neighbors bake pies for each other and pretend everything is fine even when it's absolutely not. My mother died when I was 17. My father followed 2 years later, a heart attack from stress, they said. After that, it was just me and the old house on Ashford Lane. The house with peeling white paint, creaking floors, and a mailbox older than God. I never liked being alone, but it was cheaper than moving. And honestly, I thought I could handle the silence. I was wrong. Because silence isn't empty. Sometimes it's loud. Especially when it hides something. For weeks before that night, strange things were happening. Little things, things I told myself were imagination. Drawers slightly open. Lights off in rooms I swore I had left lit. Footsteps in the hallway at night, soft, like someone barefoot. And the dreams. God, the dreams. A girl crying behind a red door. Someone calling my middle name over and over. I tried to ignore everything. But reality doesn't care what you try to ignore. The night the mailbox shook, I froze. I stood perfectly still on the porch, gripping the railing so tightly my knuckles went white. The metal rattled violently, like fists pounding inside. Then silence. I slowly stepped toward it, each step crunching ice beneath my boots. My breath hung in the air like smoke. "Hello," I whispered, my voice barely sound. And then it came. A whisper so close it felt like it was inside my ear. Marie. My middle name. Not Emily. Marie. No one called me that except my mother, and she'd been dead for 9 years. I stumbled backward, heart pounding. The mailbox creaked open on its own. Inside was a single envelope, old and yellowed, edges burnt and curled. My hands shook as I lifted it. The paper was ice cold, colder than the snow. On the front, written in handwriting I recognized instantly. For Emily Marie, do not ignore. It looked exactly like my mother's handwriting. But the date stamped on the top corner was February 14th, 1989, 16 years before I was born. How was that possible? I ran inside, slammed the door, locked every bolt. Then I sat on the couch, staring at the envelope, afraid to open it and terrified not to. Finally, I tore it open. Inside was a short note. They lied. Check the mirror. The truth is not what you think. Protect the girl. I read it over and over, my mind spinning. What girl? What truth? And which mirror? There was only one mirror that mattered. The antique standing mirror in the attic, the one my mother always kept covered with a sheet. She said mirrors held memories, and some memories weren't safe. I had never believed her. That night I did. I grabbed a flashlight and climbed the narrow attic stairs. The air was freezing, thick with dust and old wood. The mirror stood in the corner like a tall, waiting figure. My hands trembled as I pulled the sheet away. Dust filled the air, sparkling in the flashlight beam. The mirror reflected the attic behind me, boxes, the old rocking horse, nothing unusual. But then something shifted. A faint shape appeared behind me, a figure, a girl, long dark hair, bare feet, wearing a white nightgown stained with something dark. I spun around, flashlight swinging wildly. No one was there. When I turned back, the reflection had changed again. Now the mirror showed a hallway I didn't recognize. A hallway with a red door at the end. The same red door from my dreams. My knees weakened. I steadied myself on the mirror's frame. And then the girl whispered through the glass, voice trembling, "Help me." I stumbled backward and the mirror shook, like someone was pounding on the other side. I fled the attic, slammed the door, shoved a chair under the handle, and stayed awake until morning. The next day, I drove to the Ridgewood Public Library. I needed answers, facts, anything rational. I searched every archive for February 1989. And then I found it. A newspaper article. My blood ran cold. My parents never told me about another child. But the photo, the girl in the article looked exactly like the girl in the mirror. Same eyes. Same dark hair. Same middle name. The article said she disappeared on the night of a blizzard, the same night neighbors reported strange noises near the Carter mailbox. Police suspected kidnapping, but the parents refused to speak publicly. The case went cold. Everything inside me turned to ice. I wasn't the first girl in that house, and my middle name matched hers. Why would my parents hide her from me? Unless I wasn't supposed to know she existed. That night, I sat in front of the attic mirror, holding my breath. "I know who you are," I whispered. The surface of the mirror rippled like water. The girl appeared again, closer this time, trembling. I swallowed hard. "Sarah." Her eyes filled with tears. She pressed her hand against the glass. I hesitated, then pressed mine against hers. The glass burned ice cold. Then suddenly everything went black. When my vision cleared, I was no longer in the attic. I was inside the mirror. A hallway stretched ahead of me, narrow and dim. At the end, the red door pulsed like a heartbeat. Sarah stood beside me, silent. "What happened to you?" I whispered. Her lips trembled as she formed the words. "They took me." "Who?" Her voice cracked. "The ones pretending to be our parents." My stomach dropped. She continued. "We were adopted. They chose me first. When I found out what they were doing, what they needed, I tried to run. They trapped me here. They replaced me with you." My breath caught. "Replaced me? You were never supposed to remember." The hallway shook. Footsteps thundered behind us. Sarah grabbed my arm. "Run!" We sprinted toward the red door. The footsteps grew louder, heavy, angry. A deep voice bellowed my middle name. "Marie." We reached the door. I shoved it open. Light exploded, and I collapsed onto the attic floor, gasping. But I wasn't alone. Standing in the doorway of the attic were my parents, or the people I had always believed were my parents. Their eyes were wrong, black, empty, hollow. My father's voice echoed, layered with something inhuman. "You weren't supposed to know." My mother stepped forward, smiling too wide. "We just needed one of you to survive." Sarah screamed from inside the mirror. "Emily, run." I grabbed the mirror and shoved it forward, smashing it onto the floor. Glass exploded. A roar shook the house. When I opened my eyes, my parents were gone, and the attic was silent, except for one thing. A voice, faint and exhausted, whispered, "Thank you." Then the mirror turned black. I moved out the next morning. I didn't take anything except my mother's letter, the one from the mailbox. I still read it every night. The police investigated, but they found no bodies, no footprints, no evidence. The official report said hallucination triggered by trauma. People in Ridgewood avoid me now. They think I'm broken. Maybe I am. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I know what I survived. The house on Ashford Lane is still empty. But sometimes, late at night, neighbors say they hear metal rattling and a girl crying behind walls. And sometimes, the mailbox shakes. If everything I believed about my family was a lie, then who am I really? And if Sarah was trapped for 35 years, what if she wasn't the only one? Tell me what you would have done if the mailbox whispered your name.